Il cantiere italiano Ranieri International continua ad ampliare la sua gamma.
The Italian shipyard Ranieri International continues to expand its range, and this is the entry-level model of the next series. It's called 220 SH. Its measurements are 735 centimeters long by 250 wide. As the weight, including the engine, should be around 1,500 kilograms, also considering its dimensions, it is able to be loaded on a trailer. It is the smallest of this series, but takes the same characteristics and quality of its older sisters. The bow deck is set up with the classic sun deck, and on the forward side of the console, a cushion with very elaborate shapes. The rail is high, and you can also hold on to the steel handrail on the windshield. This is one of the versions available, but the list of accessories is very long, and the cockpit can also be arranged with a table and a gas stove. The fridge, however, is in the cabin and is of the drawer type. As always, below deck you can appreciate the oak coatings. The dinette, with possibly a table in the middle, converts into a double berth. You can choose between a chemical toilet or the marine toilet, with macerator and black water tank. Under the cockpit, another bunk, smaller, maybe for a child. Among the 1,000 accessories, there is also the hardtop, but better not, it raises the centre of gravity. I would prefer a light awning. Aft, the sofa also becomes a sun deck, not very wide but still useful, and the seats retract into the sides. The bridge is very elegant, but at the top there is some imprecision. Well, it does not matter. The control position is quite comfortable because you can adjust the seat. There is also a cushion that serves as a support. I'm using it in this configuration, but it moves too much. I would have preferred a clutch to block it. In fact, when you sail in rough seas, it's better that everything is stable, especially the pilot. Being out of the water is wonderful, and if you ask us at the boat show, we cannot say anything different. But on days like these, with strong winds and rough seas, maybe it would be better to stay in port. Instead, go out to try the boat and be able to tell you how it navigates even in these conditions. It could happen to be in a beautiful bay to sunbathe and swim. Then suddenly something changes. Maybe the arrival of a storm. The wind blows hard. The sea swells. In these cases, it is better to raise the anchor and return to port. You do not have to worry. The boats are made to navigate, to float, and so just face each wave in the right way, and today we'll show you how it's done. They have equipped this model with the new 200 horsepower Mercury engine. It's a 3.4-litre V6. It has a lot of torque, maybe too much for this boat. The certificate of approval, however, allows you to mount a maximum power of 250 horsepower, and if you also want 2 outboards.
Le onde in questa zona del mare, davanti a Genova, sono piuttosto alte. Sicuramente più di 1 metro.
The waves in this area of the sea in front of Genoa are quite high, certainly more than 1 metre. But what makes them more difficult to deal with is their crest, very steep. It is not a sea that's expired, it's a living sea, an aggressive sea. So what? To drive the best, you do not have to be aggressive. Trim all the way down. If you have the trim tabs down, even those, then proceed by adjusting the gas. Do not make you or the crew suffer.
Per non soffrire voi e il vostro equipaggio.
For example, under these conditions, you can keep a cruising pace of 16 knots with engines at 3,000 RPM. Consumption is 20 litres per hour.
Il consumo è di 20 litri ora. Una tecnica che vi
A
consente di
technique
evitare
that
il mare
allows
in
you to
prua.
avoid taking the sea on the bow. The hardest for this type of boat is to proceed to take it across, that is with the waves on the side. In this case, navigation is softer.
Più morbida. Il rollio non è per nulla eccessivo.
The roll is not excessive. I can also give a little more gas. I'm at 3,600 RPM. The speed is 22.5 knots. The waves are high, but we are riding them.
Le onde sono alte, ma le stiamo cavalcando. Continuo a tenere il trim nella posizione più bassa possibile.
I continue to keep the trim in the lowest position possible. I want the whole hull to be in the water, because the more the boat is immersed, the better the boat behaves, the lower the pitch.
Il beccheggio. Chiaramente lo scafo impatta sull'acqua, ma le botte non
Clearly,
sono
the hull
così
impacts the water, but the hit is not so violent. It raises spray and shoots them away, and even if there is wind, the deck is dry right now.
Se invece per rientrare in porto dovete affrontare il mare in poppa, allora il consiglio è quello di
If instead, to return to port, you must face the sea on the stern, then the advice is to regulate the gas so that the boat does not get entangled. That is, you do not have to feel the bow coming down into the trough, but you must always support it a little, and if the conditions are such that the water cannot do it, give a little bit of trim without exaggerating.
esagerare. Potete surfare sulle onde, ma
You
non
can surf on the
fate di
waves,
prendere la
but do
mano.
not get carried away. That is, keep the gas adjusted, ready to pull it back if needed.
Tirarlo indietro se serve. Siamo nella stessa zona
We're
di
in the
mare
same
di
sea
prima.
area
Le
as
onde
before.
hanno la
The
medesima
waves have the
altezza,
same height.
ma con mare in
But with
poppa
the
e un po'
sea
di
to the
trim
stern
riesco
and a bit of
ad
trim,
arrivare a
I can get to
4.500
4,500
km
RPM and 30
30
knots
nodi
of
di
speed.
velocità. Ogni tipologia di barca ha la sua funzione.
Every
Questa
type of
non è
boat has
fatta
its
per
function.
correre
This is
veloce
not
sul
made to run
mosso,
fast on
ma
rough
per
seas,
regalarvi
but to
tanta
give you plenty
disabilità
of comfort
sopra
above
e
and
sotto
below
coperta.
deck. So,
Quindi,
given the
viste le
conditions, for
condizioni,
once I
per
will
una
not
volta
say
non
full
dirò
speed,
giù la
but I
manetta.
can tell you
Ma posso
that we
dirvi
have
che
reached
abbiamo
33
toccato i
knots.
33
These conditions
nodi in
are
queste
a last
condizioni.
recommendation.
Ah,
When you go out
un'ultima
on the boat,
raccomandazione.
always fasten the
Quando
safety
uscite in
cutoff.
barca, allacciate sempre lo stacco di sicurezza.